Hi, welcome to my talk. When words mean more than just words, don't blacklist us. I am Espartaco Palma. I'm a senior software engineer. You can find me almost everywhere, like Sparta at Sparta, or on my website, sparta.co, which means Spartaco, my name again. I work for a company called Any Role. We are hiring, by the way, so contact us. Let's go to the theme. What is this about? What is this talk about? We will talk about the why, when, what, and what is the issue here, and what can we do about it. Let's talk about what is this. What is the issue? We have a problem with our terminology. Turns out it may hurt other humans. Like this, from Kaya Thomas, back in 2015. Today, in security class, we learn about whitelist, certificates you trust, and blacklist, certificates you don't trust. It hurts. Being a people of color or by BIPOC, it's difficult to see these things over and over again and has been documented everywhere, from paper to digital communication. And you may ask, why did it change just so suddenly? What have changed? Turns out that the underrepresented groups, maybe they are more vocal than they used to be. But before I go deep in the area, a little deviation. I didn't even start to create my slides for this talk, and Apple gave me yet another example on what I'm talking about. Let's think about it. When I was on Keynote doing this presentation, I see this change master, chosen master. Come on, Apple, you can do better. Okay, back to the thing. It started with changing the Git default branch. The movement about Black Lives Matter was part of this wave on where suddenly companies, the organization realize this is a thing. This is something that we need to change. Again, this is not new, not at all. But when this happened, suddenly other things happen. People are opinionated on everything. So let's see what will happen. Happen that those some random guy on internet or in the cafe or wherever did you meet them would say to change the default branch from master to main is only okay for smart projects and libraries. Mhm. So you were saying the default branch for Rails is now main instead of master from DHH. DHH. See, you would say that doesn't count. Rails is just an outdated framework. Still a small project. That same random guy can tell you. What about Terraform? Big enough? You were saying? You don't get it. I mean, really big, important projects like the ones I developed from this same obvious random guy on the internet. And that's when you turn your head and say, come on. Main actors are willing to change now. For example, Software Freedom Conservancy just say that master is offensive to some people, and they empathize with those hurts by the use of that term. And of course, they have the call to action. Git, the software, will add, will add a mechanism to allow users to specify the default use as the name of the first branch when creating a new repository. What it means, when you create your new repo with git new, whatever the name, instead of the creation of the branch called master, you will call something else, like main. And of course, the project remains engaged and encourage participation of underrepresented groups in the development of Git itself. You see, this call to action. Things are start happening. So we can go ahead. And you may say also, but the conventions, this is how it is. That's how it's done, right? Right? Maybe this is how it was. That's the point. Because you may mean the RFCs, right? Things that the Internet Engineering Task Force has also. For example, this RFC, where the terminology, power, and inclusive language in Internet draft and RFCs are changing. This document argues for more inclusive language conventions sometimes used by RFC authors. You see, this is beautiful. This is happening. That certain obvious exclusionary terms should be avoided and replaced with alternatives. It's not like it's banned. This is not, we are not canceling words. We are using alternatives. For example, the discussion that document, the RFC, align with the idea with the actions. New documents should avoid exclusionary terms. You see what I mean? It took almost 2 years to get this happening, from October 2018 to February 2021. It's happening. It is. And we all should be aware of this. What is going to happen? We need to call to action. It's not some person just doing it by their own, all for the sake of doing it. It goes more complicated. Let's see what someone which I appreciate tell about this back on December. Call for a measure unemotional, unemotional discussion in the planning and execution of the change. Careful not to presume that anyone is racist for pushing for a more careful rollout. That was from Drew Duball back on December 2020. He was firstly totally against this because there are reasons. It's documented. I want to put some links about that. But he also see the change. Is also his company is the direct competitor to GitHub. They had doing the same thing with their own ways, but he's willing to change. And this is something that we can take, for example. By the way, Scholar also brought it about this thing about racism and whatever is happening. If you're willing to change because you're afraid of cancel culture, you have the wrong reasons. That's not the reason that you should take. Please. That is not it. Okay? It's not about someone careers or reputation. No, 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 no. This is different. Okay? What I'm proposing as part of that is this. Provising the change to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Right? You can Google that. I will put more documents about that. It's full about what we can do because it's not now just about racism. It's about everything, about what words mean and how words have an impact again. I want to feature one project that I also been tracking from a long time ago that have a perfect example about this, how they do that. You probably see it around. It's called from the government. It's login.gov. The development is open, and it happened to be a gigantic, a phenomenal Ruby on Rails application to create the whole infrastructure of single sign-on SSO for the government. This login.com. I've been tracking them for a while, but when I realized something, this beautiful application or this beautiful organization also, this this change our default branch from master to main as part of DE&I efforts on login.gov. They recognize that this is a problem. This is something that we need to address. And I was see when I saw that on the wild and say, okay, even our own government has it. They realize this. They're doing something, and this is open. This is something we all can do. As I mentioned, this is a Rails application, gigantic, super big, super important also, and they have it. And I just say this is something we can do, and put it as an example. So I asked to the maintainers, to people who is working with that, how you did that, how difficult it is, how do you realize this? Can I see more documentation? Please tell me. So this is what I got. The effort start back on August 2020. Around January 2021, they set up pieces. They have a congress for them where they put in place, along with the technological challenges and all the logistics, what is going to be in order to get that goal, because they were working from back the time. On March 2021, it was live. A lot of people got involved. A lot. Again, I will put that on the addendum at the end where you can see because there's a lot of information. Again, was not as easy as it looks. It's not a matter of find and replace. No, that's not how it is. It's difficult, it's hard, and it takes time. But also, it is something that is about commitment. Like you really to do that, you just can't do that. You see, this is what Jonathan Hooper told me about how difficult it was. So this is a broad pass. How was this done? Setting up a main branch that match master, changing the default branch in GitHub, changing the reference deployed from the infrastructure configuration, redeploying from main, testing to make sure everything is okay and works, and at the end, deprecating the master branch. So that's where we saw that. That's how it was done. Months and months of work. According to Mr. Hooper, the difficult part was the infrastructure area. Why? Well, because this is something that is connected. So servers and all the things that need to communicate, they were having assumptions and hard code rules against master. And remember, they were changing to main. So that's how it is. It can be done. Even our government, I mean the American government, is able to do it. And you may ask, well, that's the government. What can I do? I'm just some random person that wants is eager to do something. Well, I'm glad you asked because there's a lot of things you can do. Let's put another example. Uh, this can be on public repos or private repos. How you can do small efforts that contribute to the bigger impact. This. Uh, you may ask politely. See, this was happening on my current poly. Someone tried to introduce a new method called BlackList fields, and when I saw it, I said, "What? This is kind of complicated, but I'm gonna do the most politely possible. Perhaps you mean rejected fields, right? Or excluding fields, because blacklist is not exactly what it turns out to be, because people like myself, which of course I'm not black, because I don't look black. I will talk about that later. Am I black? Yeah, I am. So we can use something like this. BIPOC people working with you will be seeing this change. So what you should do, well, if you are able to, propose alternatives. As I mentioned, the internet working force. Have a list of alternatives you can use. A lot. These are kind of the most common, but you can use it, right? Instead of white list, you can also use a low list, approved list, pass list, accept list. Instead of blacklist, you can use block list, deny list, unapproved list, reject list, refuse list, master slave, leader follower, primary replica, primary secondary, active, standby, main secondary. It depends of your context. Of course, again, we have our master for branches, main, parent, server, central. Even talking about ageism, grandfather, you mean legacy status, right? You should also use, instead of he, him, his, or whatever these nouns or pronouns, sorry, they, them, theirs. You see, there's a lot of things we can do as individuals working for whatever project. There's more alternatives. A lot of people is working about that. You can have even the Linux kernel is right there. They are doing something. Google have their own inclusive documentation. Puppet Labs, they have their own thing. Of course, GitHub, they are around that. You see, changing the way we refer methods, functions, or variables may have no impact for you, or maybe it do, but it means a lot of people. It takes around 1 minute to apply, and believe me, lasts forever. You may contact maintainers. As for a change, maintainers are, as you and me, usually open to change if you also offer support to make it happen, right? It's not about just throw them. This is how it is. Just do it, because no, that's not how it works. And of course, don't get mad if this doesn't happen immediately or with the immediately thing that you expect. No, I mean, they are humans again. They have work, they have priorities, they have a lot of things to do. But be patient, keep pushing, and ask politely. That's how it takes. And you will see things happen. And let's go ahead. And I get it. It may not that easy to ask. I know by experience. Uh, let's talk about that. Once upon a time, I was working in a project, collaborating in a project, actually, which code name was Ellis Island. And I was agreed to work on that and say nothing. You may say, what's wrong with that? Say Einstein. It's not a bad word. It's a right, right. Yeah, but turns out that Ellis Island is always referenced to be close to this, the land of freedom, right? So it means like a serve to something in order to get something. But it was kind of complicated if you know the history. Because Ellis Island, it was not just a, a place before you were freedom. No, Ellis Island was a lot of things. It was also a detention camp. Yes, a detention camp. That's what it is. It's history. I'm not making this up. And where a lot of things happen to immigrants. I'm an immigrant, so I know what I'm talking about when you go another place and you take these kind of situations, right? And they have the immigrant inspection where a lot of things also happen, and usually goes kind of okay because you were, close to your freedom, close to the new world, close to your new life. But it usually was okay for you as long as you were European, white, upper class person. Otherwise, you will have a kind of bad time there. So this is something that happened. This is something that Ellis Island is a project that is what super nice to talk about that. It was not that nice for these people that suffered in there. And at some point, you may have a collaborator that their ancestors doesn't have it that good as you may think it is. And I said nothing, and I should. So I learned about that. I want you to also learn about that. We all learn about this because when I realized what I didn't do, I say I should say something. I didn't because let's put another example. If this project that was called Ellis Island was called like this, Border Patrol, of course I would take action because I feel closer to that. But that's not the case. It's not how close it is for you. It's not how close or how difficult it is for the persons that will be your collaborator at some point. Or even if they are not. I mean, you may think about them. You may think about what is happening because if this called Border Patrol were usually around the border, the Mexican border, where it's something happening, xenophobia, where people were agree and were super happy to have something like this on their museum, where the border patrol have the smallest catch in El Paso, Texas. You see, it was 1929, but still, how was it? You are, I mean, the border patrol was super nice, showing that they were detaining small kids. Yeah, they are trying to get into the freedom of the land. What was the land of freedom? Okay, I'm hoping that at this point we have something good. We have something about what is this about. It's not about me doing something. It's not about individuals doing something. This is a good thing, and we are kind of agreed, right? That words are actually actions. They have an impact. Words may hurt other humans, and you may not aware of how bad it is because sometimes we just use it because well it's how it is, this is how we have been using. Nobody told me that was wrong. How is suddenly wrong? Well, Why? Well, because things things happens. Things is not the same as it used to be. Be aware of that. So I want you to recommend you once you finish with this talk, see this talk from Anjana Pakil, the language of programming. It's more about what we are talking about. What are we doing with the language of the programming on all the nonsense we are actually doing? Please go ahead and check it out. You can Google. This gonna be it's fantastic. I don't want to repeat their words because she has a lot of knowledge of what was talking about language and the impact of actions of the words and actions. And also be prepared because if you are aware of that, you will have a lot of things on you, mocking people telling you like the grumpy one, this is useless, or the sarcastic, thanks, you solve racism with just one push west, or the false victims. I'm free to do whatever I like as long as I don't hurt anybody. Forcing me to do otherwise is against my free will. Who will watch my freedom? I'm also suffering right now. Who is doing something for me? You see? Or the pessimist. This will break everything. Everything. Which is kind of correct. But it's not that bad. Unless you are doing firmware and hardcode the roots and with master, it's not that bad. I mean, it's yes, it is hard, but it's not that bad. It's not like everything will break. It will, of course, it will break if you don't test it. If you don't have everything in place to be ready to the change. Or other like I don't care as long as I'm not involved. Do whatever you want. It's your project. I'm just here working. Or other like I refuse to do extra work to solve problems nobody has. It's just imaginary problems. Nobody ever told me that have a problem. Just you. Because I don't know. Who do you think you are? The savior? Right? Because I refuse. So that will be incoming. I see that. I experience that by my own, private and public, and take actions about that. So what I'm doing right now, I'm calling and communicate with private sectors in order to see if we can do something about it. Like venture capitalism saying, can we do something? I've talked with other projects and started a conversation for a good change. For example, with Lost Island and Faraday project. They are actually ready to go. The dry RV, which I am collaborator and know, know a lot of the collaborators. Of course, on my own projects, I'm doing it. I'm ready to the change. I have that, even my scripts, in order to make this happen. Changing the public and private projects in the company I work for. Because infrastructure matters, the continuous integration matters. So it takes time, but it's completely doable. So we all need to be involved. And I mean all. I mean firsthand the PIPOC people. We should all doing this. Even if you're not directly affected. Because again, this is not only about racism. The facilitators, the sponsors, the allies talk, create the ambient that people as me, that is not a white people, be able to do that. It's possible. Also, the people who are connected and have their own audiences, you can do something. Lend your power to other people because I usually see people trying to get things done, but nobody is listening. I mean, people that have only, I don't know, if we are talking about Twitter, 100 followers, nobody listens, right? Because it's kind of an echo chamber. Nobody retweet, nobody share a link where this is happening. You can do that. You can do that. You can help with your audience. If you're able to, we should also ask for to our government to do this change. They also need to be involved. They must. It's not like a they perhaps. No, no, no. They should. Organizations, there are a lot of organizations involved on this. I'm not the one who invented this. I'm not the one who started. I'm not even something that is completely involved. I try to do my best with the few time I have at hand. But you can talk with them and see why, what you can do about it, even with your labor or collaboration with money. I mean, come on. Private sector and stakeholders, they are also open to this, and I think we can use your help. If you are open to that, talk to your person that can be contacted on your organization or any other organization. So that's how it is. So this is what I have for now. I hope you enjoy my talk, and I have a great time trying to get this for you. I'm open to your comments and open to help whoever is able to help me or help others using my experience and using what I've been living in this world about that. Thank you, and we'll see you around. Let's talk about this on the chat we had formed for you. And also, I will add the credits and addendums on that website because there's too much information here. So here is, you can see it right now, and we can discuss about that and make this happen because it's for the good of everybody. It's not about me. It's not about the people of color. It's about everything. It's not just about that. Just think about it and see you around. Thank you again.